We are live.
All right, welcome one and everyone to this behind-the-scenes stream into Savage Lands. I am your neighborhood friendly Oxhorn here, as always, with my suspenders set to maximum stun. I'm here with Chris Rubyor, the director of our new game, Savage Lands. We're going to do a little bit of an interview. We've got a bunch of questions that you guys have submitted previously that we're going to go through. And then we're also going to be taking a look at many of the questions that are in the stream today. So I hope you guys have brought your inquisitive caps with you, because I'm sure we all have those. Anyway, Chris, I'm really excited to see what you're going to be showing us today. Are you excited too?
I'm always excited to show off this pretty awesome game that we've been working on now for many months.
Well, I believe that we do have a date for when the alpha is going to be available. Are we able to share that on the stream right now?
Absolutely. We've been over the last few days. We've been hunkering down, fixing a lot of bugs, and we feel pretty good that tomorrow, probably a little bit in the later afternoon, we'll have a build and we can start releasing alpha keys, and we can get people in there to start helping us test the game and hammer out even more bugs. So Friday, what's tomorrow? Friday the 6th?
Friday the 6th.
Is the day.
Tomorrow's the day. That's amazing. So if anybody is in the chat right now, if anyone's watching right now and they have not signed up for the alpha, now is your opportunity. Go to savagelands.com and you're going to find some information on how to sign up for the alpha now. You should be able to get access for that tomorrow. All right, I'll start with a few questions that we have submitted from the community. The first is from a fine fellow named Sean, and he says, how persistent will player-built structures be in the world?
Very persistent. So each, the way we're building our save system, or our cloud save system, is that players, when they host the game, everything that they build in their game world will essentially be saved out. So if they quit out, come back and rehost the game later, they'll be able to pick up right where they left off. All the structures and everything everything that they built will remain in place. We also will save out player data. So player data being everything that's on your character. So that allows you, when you jump to another friend's server, or you just jump to a hostile server because you just want to beat some people up, everything that's on your character will travel with you. So your armor, your weapons, any food that you have, this will allow you to get a start on that game server. So anything too that you help your friends with build on their game server will also be persistent and stay on that particular game server. So we're architecting this in some really cool ways, so that players will be able to save progress across many different avenues there.
Is it possible for your ends or frenemies to destroy your structures after you build them?
That's a good question, and it's something that we've been talking about. Potentially on hostile servers, we may allow that to take place. I definitely wouldn't want it though on friendly co-op servers. But we'll see as we move through our alpha and as we move through our early access. We're going to tune and change things based on what the community feels best makes sense for this game. So yeah, we'll see.
Sean also wants to know, we've seen some of the other structures like the simple lean-to. I'm working on a video for you right now that features that one heavily. But he wants to know exactly how elaborate can structures be, going from the simple lean-to what? Like, what's the most elaborate, complex thing you could possibly build?
So one of the most one of the more elaborate structures that you can build in the game right now is a town hall, which is a giant wooden, this giant wooden structure that provides protection from the elements. And that if you were to run across a community on a server, and this community happens to have this huge town hall, or even a couple town halls, that a lot of players are in the game, they're working together to build this awesome structure. We also have a variety of stone reinforced structures that you can build, and then we have smaller tier structures like wooden shacks, regular wooden houses. But over time, the idea is to grow the things that players can build. So we'll start off with our alpha with a variety of simple structures in the town hall. We're also going to bake in over time some props that you'll be able to build and kind of decorate your communities as well. And then over time, just the structures will become more elaborate, more impressive, potentially putting up gates and fences and all sorts of cool things.
Will it be possible for a single player person by themselves who doesn't want to play with anyone else? Will it be possible for them to build even the most complex town halls, or is it necessary to have friends with you to collaborate on a structure to build something as large and massive as that?
Yes, if you just want to play your own private server by yourself, absolutely. It just comes down to time and the amount of time that you put into building that stuff. So if you're a solo guy, you want to go out and cut down hundreds of trees by yourself and then apply these components to the structures, absolutely. We're not, this is an open world fantasy survival game, so it's how you play is really up to you. But if you play with a group of friends, we're just going to save a lot of time.
All right, then we have one more question about housing. This one is from Straya, and he's curious about how elaborate we can get in terms of customizing our houses. He says, as far as building goes, will there be set structures, prefabricated structures that we can choose from to build, such as a house or a town hall, as we already mentioned, that are identical to everyone else? Or will there be buildings with things like foundations, walls, and doors, and etc., pieces that you can mix and match to kind of build your own little house design?
So going through alpha and early access, the majority of the build system is designed around templates, diagrams of prefabricated structures, but that doesn't mean as we move through these various phases that we don't add more customization options for the player, more flexibility to take parts and pieces and piece together walls and add your windows. It's a very complex system to design as well as to code, but it's something that we will definitely consider as we move through the various phases. But for the short term, though, we plan to add more things that the players can build, more structures that they can build, so that they can make their towns and communities look very cool and awesome, and add that personalization layer. We're also looking at a variety of props that we'll be able to add in and add to your houses to make them unique as well.
Nice. Sounds like there's a lot of customizing abilities available. Okay, so we have an alpha key giveaway. So some of you who are watching the stream right now will be able to get an alpha key for the game. And let's see. As soon as I get one of those, I'm going to allow. I'm being co-hosted by Kitty Chicks. She's managing some of the beta keys or the alpha keys that we're going to be giving away in the stream here. And as soon as she lets me know, we'll be sure to announce some of the winners on that. I have one more question from Straya about building, and then I'd love to see the game. He has a question about food storage and loot storage. Basically, if you have so much stuff that you can't carry it around, is there ability to store it in a house? Is there a strong box that you can build? And if so, how do you protect it from enemies or invaders who try to breach your property?
So players can craft bags. These bags obviously increase the amount of inventory space that you'll be able to have on your character, which is kind of cool. It's very RPG in that sense. But we're also going to be looking at allowing players to build strong boxes that they can place in their house and put items inside for storage for later use. So, in simple, yes, you'll be able to store items in your house. You'll be able to build or craft more bag space for your character. So we have a lot of flexibility there on both sides, which is exciting. And being able to build strong boxes is actually a design task that I plan to do this week, or actually next week, to get on my plate and start getting the first the first of those into the game. As we move through alpha, you guys are going to see a lot of iteration, a lot of change. We plan to do regular updates with bug fixes, networking fixes, as well as new additions to the gameplay from a design perspective. You'll also see the world visually evolve as well as we continually hone and flesh out more of the personality of this world that we've created. So we got a lot of cool things planned on the horizon.
Fantastic. All right, so I mentioned a moment ago that we're going to be giving away some alpha keys, and the best way that we're going to do this is to ask you some quiz questions. And the first person in the chat to answer the quiz question correctly, of course, wins this alpha key. So the first question of this stream before we dive into the game is this. What is the official Savage Lands website address?
That's a tough one.
It's important to know.
It's very important to know.
This is important information. All right, so we've got a robot in the chat watching to see who's gonna answer this correctly, and there's a little bit of a chat delay. So let's go ahead and dive right into the game a little bit. And as soon as we have a winner, we will announce it in the stream.
So as we're loading in here, I want to talk a little bit about what players can expect through our alpha phase. One, there's going to be bugs. We'll be very transparent about that, but that's why we're having you come into our alpha and helping us test the game. There's just a lot of things to find, a lot of things to discover. It's a really big world. There's a lot of creatures, a lot of places to explore, and it's going to be very important that players get in there and help us hammer away and polish this experience. Over the last couple of weeks, we've got a lot of features and functionality in. We have our chat system in now, so you can chat server-wide. We have proximity chat in, so any players that you walk across or come across on the island, in proximity, you guys can chat with each other. You can discuss whether or not you're friend or foe. All of our items in, the loot tables have been added, so just a lot of polish all across the board. The code team has done a stellar job at hammering away at a lot of network bugs and just putting in the hours, just pounding away at the silicon to make this game as stable as possible for alpha. So we think we're going to deliver a really cool experience, but that said, there will be bugs, there will be balance issues, and we look to you, the community, to help us out and visit our Steam forums to post all the things that you find, as well as feedback that you may have.
So we have a winner in the chat, and that's Casalena. Congratulations, Casalena. You were the first one to answer the question correctly, and you win an alpha key. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. There will be more to give away in just a moment. All right, so what should we expect as the topic of this stream today, Chris? What are you going to show us?
I'm going to show you guys what you can expect day one. I'm also going to wander around the world a little bit. I'm going to go find some villages. Maybe we'll run into the dragon. I don't know. Everything's procedural, so everything that happens is always a good guess on what's going to happen next. If I craft a hammer, I'll show you guys mining. We just actually got mining in the game the other day, so you see all these rocks. You can actually run up and mine them. They have a variety of different types of things that they'll offer. You'll get different types of ore, as well as some gems that you can use to forge some of the higher end armor. There's also a lot of different creatures in the game, various skeletons that I've been kind of balancing and tuning. Still not happy with the damage that they output, but nonetheless, that's those skeletons. So I'll just be showing off, what the player can expect. I'm going to run along the beach. I'll show off some villages that I run into, some cool stuff. All the major villages in the game are in. I kind of pounded away the last 4 days of getting those in. Each one has kind of a different theme, so maybe we'll run across one that's been destroyed by the dragon. So we got a lot of cool stuff that I want to show off. But one of the first things that people ask is, oh wow, I start on this beach, what do I do? Survival game. Okay, great. Here's what you do. You collect the things that are on the beach. You pick up everything just by hitting the E button. Great, I picked up some supplies. I already had some supplies on me, which is a good thing. If you want to access everything that's on your character, you simply hit the I key, which is your inventory key. There you can take a look at what's in your small pouch. You start off with a small pouch. I have an axe. I have a couple crude axes actually, so let me get rid of those. Getting rid of objects is as simple as drag and drop in the vicinity. I have bandages, I have some cured meat, which I definitely need for food. Very important stuff. One of the things that I want to do before I get going, though, I want to craft some bandages, some basic bandages. These are really important because guess what? They stop bleeding. So to craft stuff, as long as you have the component, you simply hit the craft button, and these items appear in your inventory. But I'm going to actually put them down in my hotbar, so when I need them, I can use them right away. Over here on the left side, this is our crafting. These are the various recipes that I've uncovered. I got I can craft torches, Frost Fern bandages. I just need to find a few Frost Ferns. I haven't found anything where I can craft armor yet or expose some of the basic armor recipes, but we'll get there very shortly. Same thing for weapons, same thing for food.
So you mentioned Frost Fern bandages. What's the difference between a regular bandage and a Frost Fern bandage?
It's a great question, Brandon. Frost Fern bandages are a combination of regular bandage mixed with Frost Ferns. And what this will do is they'll stop bleeding instantly. So one bandage will stop players from bleeding out right away, where with regular bandages it may require 3 bandages to stop the bleeding from taking place. So really good to have. Frost Fern is actually a rare plant that's kind of scattered along beaches and can found in some of the inner parts of the island. So as you're moving around, and I'll actually show you where one of them, where one can be found when you start on the beach, and I know because I actually placed it there, right here. So you can see it looks a little different. We call it out by name. You pick it up, and we give you 2 of them right off the bat. I'm going to bring up the crafting window. You can see now that we can craft Frost Fern bandages. I'll go ahead and get one of those guys. They're different in color from standard bandages. They're blue to represent, hey, they've been mixed with this cool Frost Fern essence. And now, when I need them, I'll have them. And things that cause bleeding, skeletons can actually inflict grievous wounds on you. So can some of the wolves. So you always want to be prepared when you're playing the game.
So this actually ties in with a couple of questions that we have from the community. You mentioned that the Frost Fern tends to go, in the bush near the beaches, and it's kind of hard to see, so you need to look around for it. Does that mean that there are different biomes in this world, and within those biomes you can find different plants growing, different creatures running around, different items? And then also, is it possible to grow food? And if so, are there seasons and different biomes that can conflict with that?
So over time, as we move through alpha and early access, you'll see the world evolve. So when it comes to biomes, you might, some of the world will change potentially visually and, look a little bit more unique than, say, the last area that you were in. Creatures in the world are also found in various areas of the island. You may have some creatures like wolves that kind of roam some of the outer parts, and deer that are kind of found everywhere. But things like bears and boar, and certain types of rare spawns that we have can only be found in certain parts of the island. So you'll need to go hunt those down because some of those creatures drop specific things that you need for various recipes that are found in the game. So the answer to that question is yes, over
Excellent.
time.
Those 2 questions were from Dino World 112 and McCracken, so I didn't call that out at the beginning. And then we've got one more question from Dino World, and he's asking about darkness. He wants to know exactly what role it plays in the survival of this game. How dark does it actually get? How much does a torch help when it gets dark? And how quickly does it get dark once you first land on the island? Is it real time, the same 24-hour period that we all live in, or is it on a different time scale?
Darkness is on a different time scale. 24 hours is way too long. So right now in the game we have it set at day and night cycle every 45 minutes. But as we move through alpha and early access, those elements will be tuned. Night lasts for about 20 to 30 minutes. So the difference between night and day, and as you can imagine in the real world, during the day it's much warmer than it is at night. So if you're out in the open area at night, you're going to take your cold meter in the upper left is going to start ticking down much quicker. So you're going to want to find shelter. You're also going to want to build a campfire, which is critical because a campfire will actually warm you up.
So that cold meter, that's the big blue bar at the top of the meter to the left, right?
Yeah, I'm like pointing. Yes, in the upper left-hand corner, you'll see a blue meter, and that's the very top. There are 3 stat bars there. One represents cold, the blue. Red represents health, and yellow represents stamina, or in many ways, your hunger status. So you'll want to eat. And let me take a bite of some food here, and I'll show you.
Okay.
As you can see, I'm already at 100% health, so that meter, it's not going to affect that meter, but I'll take a couple more bites. And as I do this, you can see that I get more stamina, and my cold is kind of bumped up a little bit. So I'm not freezing.
Eating food helps all 3, cold, health, and stamina, right?
Yeah, it varies based on type of food. Cooked meats, cured meats help with all 3. You may find things like tree nuts that help with stamina and cold. They kind of help warm up your body. You may find things like apples that only apply to your health. So the consumables in the game vary in terms of how they apply to the various stats in the game.
Excellent. So some things help with cold, like fire. Some things help only with health, like apples, and some things only help with stamina, like nuts. You said there's just
like nuts, tree nuts, for example. And then there are some foods that help with all three, but the quantities or the amount of vitals that they give back to the player varies. So if you only have an apple, for example, that applies only to health, that's actually going to give you back a lot of health, maybe 20 to 25% health. Where if you have something that, for example, cured meat, which applies to all three stats, we got to balance that out. So it'll give you back maybe 10% in each category.
I'm just satisfying my own curiosity at this point. About the cold, is there a visible indicator, like say you're not paying attention to your monitor in the upper left-hand corner? Is there like ice that appears on the screen, or does the screen start to turn blue or something when you know that you're starting to freeze to death? And what happens when you get at 0% cold meter? Do you just die?
Well, when you what'll happen over time, and it's not in just yet, as you get down to 0, the cold meter ticks down to 0, the screen will start to frost, which means that you're going to hypothermia.
Oh, goodness.
Once you're in hypothermia, my long-term goal is that it starts to slow the player down. So your movement speed decreases, your attack and all that, and all those other components start to slow down, and your health will start to tick away slowly as well. So you'll start losing health. So it's very important that you warm up, and that is either through campfire, eating certain foods, taking shelter. Any of the structures that you find within the world will also provide some level of warmth. So it's very important that you want to you'll want to warm up right away.
Okay, so we've got one more alpha code giveaway. This time it's going to be about speed. So I'm going to speak something, and the first person to type this into the chat wins. All right, so listen closely. Here we go. This is what you need to type. Hashtag, I want the Savage Lands alpha code. All right, first person to type that in wins the next Savage Lands alpha code.
Love it. All right, so for everybody out there watching, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to build a campfire. So I went out, gathered the components. You're going to hit E to apply the final component. And we have fire. If you watch the blue bar in the upper left-hand corner, you'll see that it starts to tick up. And if I use that in combination with, say, some of the food that I have, it only means great things.
Awesome.
But of course, you can do a little fire dancing if you want, but you'll take damage.
All right, we have a winner. Hawkstar, you were the first one to get that one correct. Thank you very much for participating in that. Now, I do have one question about structures like lean-tos. We've got the stamina. Does resting increase your stamina? Does it cure it? And then how do you rest? Is that possible?
There's not really a concept of resting right now. So when you build a lean-to, the idea, the goal, the long-term goal, as I'm chopping down trees and it's rolling down the hill here, I'll get it. So the idea with a lean-to, for example, they will act as respawn points. So if you build a lean-to somewhere in the world and you die, the idea is instead of spawning back somewhere randomly on the beach, you'll actually spawn back at that lean-to, or you'll spawn inside the house. So they're essentially safe havens that we give to the player.
And how does that safe haven make it safe? What makes it? Is it just the proximity to the campfire that makes it a happier place to be?
Well, absolutely. You guys can come around. You can cook meat on the campfire. So if I killed some deer, I could come over to the campfire, cook meat. Fire is an essential part of life. So fire in our game is life. It takes away the cold. You can cook food. It does a great many things. And down the road, we're going to add recipes that require fire. So melting of ambers, so you can apply that to certain equipment and other sorts of recipes in the game. So it's going to be a critical piece early on for the player. And then we'll have forges that are actually scattered throughout the world that you'll need to access so you can forge some of the heavier armor and plate armor in the game.
Oh, wow. Do you have to build the forge, or will they be pre-existing?
There are pre-existing, because the world has these large villages and towns, there are forges within these towns. But these towns are, if you're playing on a hostile server, they're also, it's open to bandits, other players coming in and saying, hey, how's it going? Can I have all your stuff? So you'll want to be very wary when you're in these places and forging. Of course, if you're on your own private server, it doesn't really matter. As we move into early access, we'll allow players to build their own forges as well. So a lot of cool things come from fire and forging.
That sounds fascinating. So if you're on a pretty hostile server, it can be pretty dangerous to go into town to try and craft something, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. So you actually had a question earlier about housing. How does housing play into the game?
Sure.
Not only does housing provide you with warmth and shelter, but shelter's a key component in that creatures will, if you're inside a house, they're not going to see you. It's not like, there's actually collision avoidance and a line of sight in our game. I'm moving into the interior here and making our way to one of the villages, if anybody's curious. And I'll probably run across a few things along the way, and I'll try to kill those things. But shelter is critical in that it'll protect you from various creatures, because if they see you, you can run inside the house, and then once you're inside the house for a little while, oh, there's some deer. The creatures will not come inside the house. We actually have this really cool AI system that says, hey, player went inside the house. Well, you know what? I'm going to circle around the house and wait till the player comes out. And then eventually, if I don't come out, you'll lose interest.
So they hunt you, basically.
They will hunt you. Certain creatures will hunt you.
Oh, my goodness.
Let me see if I can creep up on this guy. Doesn't guy. All right. Oh, See, if I had a bow, there we go. Oh, and
they're fast.
They are fast, and they have creatures will actually run away from you, as you saw there with the deer.
I did, yeah.
I actually tuned up the health a little bit. Maybe that was a bad idea. All right, hold on.
It takes, what, 3 strikes with the axe to kill a deer?
Yeah, if you go after the same deer. Luckily, I got a couple of them here, but I may tune that back a little bit for alpha. Let me see if I can get this one.
And then I have one question regarding health from Macazar. He asks, some hardcore games out there like Dark Souls, or to a lesser extent Dragon's Dogma, have this idea of a player's max health or max stamina decreasing slowly over time as they press on in the game. Only by resting and using certain items can they restore their max once more. Is that something that this game is currently incorporated or that we're looking into?
So yes, as the player, all the stat effects tick down over time. So you need to constantly replenish your stats. Cold is always ticking down unless you have certain types of armor. Near a campfire, your stamina is always ticking down. And we're also looking at tying it into player movement and combat. So if you're running, your stamina will tick down faster. If you're in combat, your stamina will tick down. So these are stats, much like a lot of other survival games that you'll have to maintain.
I see. Okay.
Oh, we found a lean-to on the beach here. Please let there be a hammer.
Is that the town that you were alluding to earlier? Village on the town.
No, this is just somebody's lean-to that was here. So I'm going to take these wild berries because I can. And I'm going to use this fire here, which was made. I'm going to craft some food. So we got some deer meat. When you're near the campfire, just hit K, and as long as you have the components, hit craft, and there you go. The deer meat. Your deer meat is now in my inventory.
Excellent. Is there a health benefit to eating cooked meat compared to raw meat?
So I haven't put in the raw meat edible component yet, but I'm going to. So you'll get a little. The idea is that you'll get a little bit of health back from raw meat, but there's also a potential that it might poison you, so you might get food poisoning.
Oh goodness! Does raw meat rot? Like the longer you hold it, does it decay?
Not yet, but we do have the ability to. Sorry, there's a skeleton that looks like, man, I just came running up on him. So there is the idea that we can have items decay. I just haven't set it up yet. and it's something that I want to tune it a little bit more before I put it in to make sure it feels pretty good, and then we'll see what players think. But there is tainted meat in the game that drop from various creatures. Excuse me. And if you eat that tainted meat, you'll get back this nice boost of health, but there's also, you will get poisoned doing so. So as long as you got the right components to cure poison, you'll get a nice boost, and then you can cure poison, and everything's good in the world. So this is one of our defiled skeletons. You can see this guy's not really fast, but he does pack a punch.
Yeah, he doesn't look very dangerous. He's kind of just wobbling around there.
No, he's actually one of the lower tier skeletons. Oh, yeah, I just walked right into that. Just let me walk into that punch just like that. All right, let him. Come on, I'm gonna lead him a little bit.
So is there a strategy when fighting, when meleeing monsters like this, where you can like get close, land a strike, back away, prevent him from attacking you, or is it best to just stand close to him and mash the attack button?
You can stand close and mash the attack button. He's gonna mash his attack button back. So you want it. Like, it depends on the type of creature. For example, this defiled skeleton, you kind of saw me lead him a little bit, which was nice. And you can do that. Other creatures are not so forgiving. So the wolves, they will just stay on you. They will not let you go. Same thing with some of the higher tier skeletons that move more like the player. They will come at you with all their force. So it's going to be very important that if you're going to engage them, you want to have armor, or you're just going to run for your life and try to find shelter and try to avoid them. But what's interesting with our creature system is that we do have a line of sight system. So if you happen to see, I'll loot this guy in just a second. If you happen to see a skeleton walking on the horizon, you can walk into the bushes like this, and you can actually wait it out and let him walk by if you don't feel confident enough to take on the skeleton, or whatever creature for that matter. They'll walk on by. So in the case of these deer, if I see them coming, I could actually wait in here, wait until they get really close, and then jump out and attack. But go ahead.
Once you get aggro from a skeleton, like, okay, so you just mentioned that it's possible to hide so that they miss you, but once they actually see you and they start coming for you, is it possible to lose them, or do they hunt you for the rest of the game until they die?
Right now, they kind of hunt you down, but ideally, we're going to have to put in some systems that allow they lose interest. But it will vary based on creature. Like the wolves, they will hunt you down until the end of time, but for some creatures, maybe for some of the slower creatures like those defiled skeletons that you just saw, it might make sense that they just lose interest and go back to wandering around doing whatever skeletons do.
All right, we've got another giveaway for an alpha key, so pay close attention, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. This is the third alpha key, the third quiz, and this one's a little bit trickier. All right, here's the question. First one to answer correctly wins. How much flint is needed to craft a torch? We're looking for a number, not words. Use numerals, not letters.
Oh, can I do this one?
No, you are not allowed. You are forbidden. I think you have enough alpha keys as it is.
All right, fair enough. All right, so for those out there, I did just loot the corpse, and every creature in the game can be looted. They have their own loot tables. They drop rare stuff. So what you're not going to find is skeletons walking around with bags of gold. It just didn't seem like the right thing for a open world survival game. But you will find things like cloth shreds, bones, and other various components. If a creature, and I've mentioned this before in other streams, and I'm really excited about this because I am a big MMO player myself, that if you see a creature walking around with a giant sword, you're going to loot that giant sword when you kill it. So that's kind of cool.
All right, we have a couple more questions from Macazar. He asks, it's a huge pain in the backside when playing other games like Redacted, but when playing other games with my friend, we spawn like miles away from each other and we have no way to find one another. Will this game have a way for people to find each other who want to play together easily, or will we appear on opposite sides of the island?
So that's a great question. Right now, you do randomly spawn at various parts in the world, but if we're going to have this kind of friendly co-op element, we're going to have to put something in that allows players to kind of spawn together, because there's nothing, I agree, there's nothing more fun than, hey guys, let's play. Oh, you're on the northeastern end of the island. Okay, let me take an hour and I'll be there in a minute, or I'll be there in an hour. That's not really any fun. But on hostile servers, it may make more sense that players, spawn at different points, or if you guys are working together and you consider yourself friends. So there's some systems there that I think we need to work out on the code and design side as we move through alpha and as we move through early access, that we'll kind of figure out. But in regards to that question, I'm in total agreement. As friends, you should not have to spawn on the opposite ends of the world to find each other. It seems kind of silly.
All right, we have a winner of that last contest, and it was Macazar. Macazar, you won the Alpha Game. Congratulations, sir.
Woo, congrats.
All right, what else is exciting and amazing that you're going to show me?
All right, we're going to walk up to one of our villages here.
Okay.
Wait for it. Wait for it. Well, let me not come running up on the village because I don't know what spawned.
I think I see it in the distance.
Let me go to this bush. It's funny, and it's easy for me because I know how all the colliders work. So I can, one of the tips I will tell people, that if you come running up on a village, there are spawners that specifically to the various villages that spawn unique things. You can hug things like the houses. If you hug the walls and kind of peek around the corners, you might, the line of sight will not, there's a little bit of stuff to, you're not going to get picked up right away. So I recommend to anybody that plays in the alpha, just kind of walk around. Don't try to be kind of gung-ho Conan the Barbarian. You'll want to move around these places to make sure that there's nothing there that's going to harm you, especially if you're not equipped for it. So we look pretty good. Oh, apples.
We've got a question from Hawkstar about a world map. Now, obviously, in the real world, if you land on an island or if you shipwreck somewhere, you very infrequently have a map with you. Maybe you'll have a compass, but it's going to be pretty hard to find your way around. Many games have this concept of a world map where you can just push a button and see the entire world and run anywhere you want, which seems a little unrealistic to me, but many games do have that. I'm curious about how Savage Lands approaches that issue. Does it have a world map? Can you find a map? Or is there a way to get a compass to know where you're going or stuff like that? Or is it just sort of free-for-all? You just got to find your way around?
So it's going to be a combination of art and design elements that we had in the world. We don't have a world map because the world itself is kind of new to the player. They've never been here. But that doesn't mean over time we don't add anything. We'll see what the community says and what player feedback is on that point. I like survival games that don't have maps. I like using the geography of the world to kind of tell where I'm at. But we're also looking at putting in a compass. So you'll be able to craft a compass to be able to navigate to different parts of the world. We're also going to be kind of enhancing the topography and geology of the world. So you'll be able to find recognizable locations. So like, hey guys, I'm over here at the Dragon Village. So, players that are in the world go, oh, I know exactly where that's at. Or I'm over by the southern dragon roost. As you can see in the distance there, one of the dragon roosts. There's only three of them in the world. And you can use those as kind of navigation beacons, so you can kind of see where you're at in the world as well. So again, the world will evolve. We will add things, elements or features into the game that give players more, make it a little bit more easier to navigate. From a compass to world elements like geology, giant rocks, and cool biomes and stuff like that. So it'll make it easier. But the world map right now, I want to see how players kind of get around the world and what they think.
You mentioned the dragon roosts, and that ties in with a good question that we have from Dragonstar and Obikai. And they're wanting to know a little bit more about end game content. Like, once you have survival down, you've built your lean-to, or you've got your house, you've got enough food, you've got enough weapons, you're able to defend yourself and craft everything. What does the end game look like?
It's being an open world fantasy survival game. There's not really, the end game is, there's a lot of creatures in the game that you'll need to, larger creatures, more powerful creatures that you can't take down by yourself. So in many ways, it's kind of like old school MMORPGs, EverQuest, where there's these creatures that drop these really cool things that allow you to forge, dragon scale armor, dragon scale armor, which is this cool armor that when you have it on, it actually keeps you heated, so you don't lose any cold. Who wouldn't want that, right? There are creatures in the game like the forest giants. The forest giants drop what I call Everwood, which allows you to have an ever-burning torch.
Wow.
So there are a lot of cool things in the game, and I don't want to give away too much, but that gives you kind of an idea of a lot of the things that initially that you'll find in the game. Now, over time, it's a fantasy world, and what I love about fantasy, it allows us to add more and more content, unrestricted, based on the world, this cool world that we've created. So we are going to be adding new creatures, new recipes, new weapons, new items, everything, tons of stuff to forge and find, new buildables. So, our end game content, like in a classic, MMO or even a classic Diablo-style RPG, it's, we think of it as an ongoing thing. It's just always, there's always going to be more to do based on what we add to the game. Players new will be able to come in and start and craft and get started. Players that have been around a long time will always, they'll be able to take on large creatures and fantastical creatures and explore new areas of the world and new things that we add to keep them interested in the game.
Now, you mentioned dragons earlier, and you said that there were 3 different roosts. Does that mean that there are 3 dragons in the world, or is there one dragon? And then also, after you kill a major enemy, like a dragon, for example, to make your dragon scale armor, do they respawn, or is that it? The dragon's dead, you've made your armor, and then it's off to find another massive beast?
That's a good question. Right now, fictionally speaking, the dragon will respawn, essentially, be reborn, return from the ashes of its death, if you will, kind of like a phoenix. But fictionally, I have some plans for the dragons and things that I'd like to do. I would like to add more dragons. I would like to have, there be conflict and territorial between the, different dragons. But right now we have one dragon in the game. But, that's kind of a hint at content to come down the road.
That sounds amazing. I'm excited about that.
Wouldn't it be cool to actually be standing here? Bug, darn it. So, wouldn't it be cool? You're looking up at the Dragon Tower. This is how I visualize things. And all of a sudden, I visualize everything really epic. You're sitting there, and all of a sudden you see, one of the dragons flying, and all of a sudden an ice dragon flies in, and they start fighting in mid-flight. I mean, that would be pretty epic. And you're like, well, that's pretty cool. Let me go up there and see what happened. Especially if one of them was to die, or, they land and crash. I mean, there's just a lot of cool things that we can do in this world that I'm really excited about.
Yeah, it sounds like that would be a good opportunity to seize upon the one that's losing and slay them quickly without having to expend much of your own resources.
Absolutely.
All right, I've got another hashtag giveaway, ladies and gentlemen, for this 4th alpha key. And listen very carefully. I'm going to say something, and then you guys need to spit it into the chat as quickly as you can. All right, here we go. The hashtag is I want a Savage Lands alpha code. Yes, I realize I'm not being very creative. Those are pretty much identical. But there it is again. If you could do that as quick as you can, you'll win the 4th alpha code. All right, while we're waiting to see who is the one who won, we've got another question from Baklava. And he asks, will there be any way to, say, tame a wolf or tame other creatures as companion pets to keep you safe, that you can sick on other enemies or help you with survival in the game?
Yes, creature taming is actually part of our long-term plan through early access, alpha and early access. It's something we want to get in. It's on our roadmap to put in. So, and just like things like bunnies. I want to get bunnies in the game. Snow, who doesn't like bunnies? And these are all things that you can get in the game. The idea is that you'll be able to tame different creatures, and that taming, creating these, just like as we introduce magic into the world, creature taming will be a big thing. So you're going to need different components that allow you to tame different types of creatures. So yes, would I want a posse of rabbits following me around so I have a food source? Absolutely. Would I want a posse of, say, dire bears to follow me around so I have muscle with me? Absolutely. So yes, there's creature taming in the game. And look, it's starting. The sun is starting to set, as you see it go by really quick because the settings are tuned to go. Dusk and dawn are set to go by really quick. So as you can see, our day and night is cycling.
Oh, wow. Well, this is great. It's going to give us an opportunity to see night. Wow, you can really see that sun move.
Yeah, that's it. Yes. I haven't tuned it, so it is a little buggy, but it will be tuned, guys, so that there's nice transitional states between the two. But yeah, very beautiful sky dome. Really cool stuff to see. So with it getting darker, I want to make sure I'm ready. I got a torch. so I'm not going to craft it just yet. But I'm going to run down the beach here. I want to, just to show off some cool stuff. You want to be careful too as you're running along the shore. Not a lot of creatures by design don't spawn along the shore because I don't want new players getting overwhelmed right away. But that's not to say there won't be your straggling wolf that just happens to find his way onto the beach and attack you. So always be on the lookout as you're moving through or moving around the world here. Now we're going to do a lot of running. Let's make sure I got some... Oh man, I'm all out of cured meat.
By the way, the winner of that last giveaway was Coyote44, or Coyote44, however you pronounce it. Congratulations, good sir. You've got an alpha key.
So I didn't find a stone hammer, or I would have shown off some mining, but let's see. I can craft... Oh. Okay.
Do you have to craft all of your tools, or is it possible to find them in the town? Or
it is very possible to find some of these tools and weapons in towns. So that's why, it's kind of like DayZ in that sense, where you kind of scavenge through these villages and see what you can find. And you may come across, a stone hammer, and it's like, great, now I can go and or a pickaxe, and now I can go mine some stuff. You might find leather armor. You might find, some food that's been laying there. So it's very important that when you find these villages, that you kind of scour and scavenge through them. So because there's going to be equipment that'll kind of give you a boost that you need to stay in the world.
But you also have to be careful because it is possible for enemy raiding parties to enter the worlds, like skeleton raiding parties and wolves, right?
That is very true.
All right. These lands are savage.
They are savage indeed. I was hoping I'd get some sticks, but...
Now, can you chop down any tree, or are there certain trees that are better for firewood, for building structures, than others?
So almost all the trees you see can be chopped, and as we move through alpha and our early access, we'll continually to enhance that. Potentially being able to chop down bushes so you can get smaller sticks. We have the technology exists. It's just a matter of getting, hooking it up properly and making sure that we have the right art to so it doesn't look fugly, if you will. And so we're being very, we're being very good about that. But most every tree right now can be chopped down in the game. Most.
Excellent. And is it the same for giant stones and boulders? Can most of those be mined?
So I have it set up right now that every rock that you see in the game, from the very small to the large, can be mined.
Excellent.
And now, what's important to note that when you're mining a stone or a large rock formation, they will run out of stuff that you can mine, so it's not infinite.
At this point in the game, is there just one type of stone that you can mine, or are there multiple, like coal and gold and silver? And if there's only one type, are there plans in the future for having more recipes that require different types of mineable resources?
So right now, the rocks that we currently have in for alpha, we have like one set of rock types, and when you mine those rock types, you'll get a variety of, you have the potential to get a variety of different types of components, ranging from low quality ore to high quality ore, and potentially, there's a buck. See how easily distracted I get? Or potentially finding radiant gems, and radiant gems are used in some of the higher tier recipes.
So I noticed that your cold is ticking down very quickly. You're at 3% right now.
Oh yeah, it's getting cold.
Okay, so because it's dusk, it's getting colder, and your cold meter is going down quicker, right?
That's right. So I don't have any cured meat, which is very unfortunate for me. I have apples, which I mentioned earlier on in the broadcast. They give you health and some stamina, but they don't apply to your cold.
So you're at 0%. If this weren't the alpha, you would be dead right now, right?
I would be dead. I'm looking for one of the villages I just put together, but I'm not gonna die because I'll probably build a fire.
Okay.
But you can see here, I'm at 0% health, or I'm at 0% cold. It's getting darker, it's getting colder, and it's not really a good time for me right now. I could. Hold on, let's see if I can. I may have to break down. Let me go to my journal. Let's see. Hold on, let me see what I have. I have 6 stones.
I have a question about structure placement.
It's getting dark.
It is getting dark.
Hold on. Here we go. I'm going to craft the torch. There we go. Whew. All right. This is going to lead to bad things, so I hope I don't get assaulted by a plague wolf. Because those guys, I'm running into bad stuff right now. All because I wanted to show you a cool village.
Are enemy raiding parties more severe at night? So are more wolves going to appear at night to hunt you than during the day?
Not right now, but it's something that we plan to tune. Various creatures come out at night. Certain creatures go dormant. Just to kind of mix up the differences between the two cycles for the player. But right now, the idea is that we'll have 3 types of creatures that come out at night, and some other creatures that potentially go dormant. That'll come online as we move through alpha.
All right, we have another giveaway here. Here is the question, and it is caps sensitive, so make sure that you capitalize the correct letters in your answer if you want it to be picked up by our robot that's monitoring. So here's the question. Pay attention. What was the name of the badass-looking skeleton enemy type shown off in the last stream? All right, whoever answers that correctly with the correct capitals wins. Now I have another question. This one is from Obikai, and he asks, "What about in-game VOIP? Any chance that we can get an answer to that question?" I did check current info, but I didn't see any mention of it.
Very close to the village. Yeah, that's a great question, actually. And our code team has been they busted their butts to get chat and VoIP in the game for alpha. So yeah, they did a great job. So you're going to be able to have proximity chat with players in the local vicinity. Man, I am dying. You'll have prox, and of course, everything's kind of thinned out here. I'm actually in bear territory, knowing where I'm at on the island, so I'm kind of, yeah.
You're nervous about being...
I am actually really nervous, because the bears will just assault you out of nowhere.
I noticed that your cold meter isn't going back up, even though you're holding a torch. Is it only campfires that improve your cold? Primarily?
Right now, yes, and I will add an emitter to torches, so they'll add back a little bit of cold. So, campfires are really good to have, and boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to plummet to my death here.
That's okay.
I knew it.
People like a good death on camera.
Man, where'd he go? I'm gonna, I'm gonna run for my life. It's just not gonna be fun. Well, all because I wanted to show you a really cool village. There you go. I was committed to the viewer base to show something awesome, and I ended up getting slightly lost, believe it or not. And I'm getting attacked by a bear.
That just goes to show you, one of the creators of the game is having such a hard time living in the world. That shows you just how brutal this place can be.
Yeah, and it's again, it is savage. It is a brutal place. And again, all the creatures, everything spawns procedurally, so I don't really know what's going to happen, what's going to spawn. I was hoping I would, run into a couple things. I didn't have enough components on me to build a campfire. That was my bad. But a lot of cool stuff happens. I'm going to respawn. I didn't build a lean-to, so I'm back on the beach.
Well, that just goes to show you, being too aggressively explorationative, that is to say, exploring too aggressively earlier in the game, can lead to sudden and irrevocable death.
Well, you know what, everybody? We can always watch the sunrise together.
That's true. Sit on the beach.
Hang out. Looks like somebody's already down there on the beach. We should go, let's go crash that party.
There you go. Have a little picnic. Open some wine.
Yeah, just I'm going to get some cured meat. Wood stick. Man, it makes me so mad. So, normally I don't, the darkness actually threw me off, believe it or not. I usually can navigate by the water. I can use the sea to navigate.
There you go.
And it didn't work out because I just got too far into the bush.
Coetzee has a good point. There's a silver lining to your death, and that's that the dire bear filled up his health meter. So we've got that.
All right. So good stuff. Any more questions? Anybody have, I'm open to answering just about anything. As a dev team, we're incredibly transparent, and we're open to our fan base. Again, I want to reiterate our alpha phase tomorrow. We're going to be sending out keys, so everybody watching, go sign up if you haven't signed up. We're super excited. We want to get you in there to help test the game, help us find those bugs, and help make a better experience. You'll have an opportunity if you're in the alpha to post in our Steam forums, provide feedback, provide cool gameplay suggestions, which I'll be on there on a regular basis answering questions as well as taking in your feedback. So we're really excited. This is going to be a great opportunity for players to get in there and help. And what's really cool is that if you get into the alpha, when the game goes early access, you'll actually get the game for free.
Nice. That is definitely an upswing.
Yep.
Well, I see that there are a lot more questions being answered in the chat. That's excellent. Kitty Chicks is going to be taking a look at those and gathering the ones that we want to answer. I think at this point we've had a nice little bit of a stream. Are we ready to call this one a day?
Yeah, it's funny, I'm looking down the beach here, I can see some particle effects, and I'm saying to myself, I actually don't remember putting that campfire in. So there's somebody on the server that I don't know about. Huh. Alright, cool stuff. Yeah, so I want to thank everybody for coming out. My name is Chris Rubyor, Game Director for Savage Lands. I'm here with the great Oxhorn, one of our community managers and influencers, also with Kitty Chicks, and we want to thank everybody for being here. We're going alpha tomorrow. Looking forward to everybody's feedback. And if you don't make it in the alpha, please still go to our Steam forums, because Kitty Chicks and Oxhorn, we're going to be doing contests. We're going to be giving away keys, even if you don't make it on these streams. So please, we want you to be part of this experience and part of this journey. So thank you for coming to our stream.
Yes, thank you very much for coming to the stream. It's always a pleasure to meet with the community and to have the opportunity to take an early look at Savage Lands. It looks like Kitty Chicks is doing one more giveaway, and she and the robot will make sure that gets taken care of. Thank you all very much for coming to this episode, and thank you, Chris, for your time.
Thank you very much. Have a good one, guys.
Cheers.
It is... Oh, boy.
Nice.